2 headlines, 1 coffee-stained notebook, and a wild bet that might sound totally bonkers. Are you ready to discover why some of the sharpest brains on Wall Street keep whispering XRP, like it's their secret password? Well, hang on, because by the end of this story, you might look at your old school brokerage account the way that we all look at dial-up internet today. So, picture this. Last weekend, my phone buzzes at 3 a.m. with a push alert screaming Bitwise's CIO calls XRP the cleanest way, at least cleanest play, I should say, on a multi-trillion-dollar boom. Now, most people would roll over and just smash the snooze button, but I shot up like Bitcoin had just cracked $1 million. Tokenization, XRP's ledger, and multi-trillion dollars in one sentence. Yeah, sleep was completely cancelled. Now, by Monday morning, I kind of hunched over an oat milk latte. Matt Hougan's weekly memo kind of spread out, like a kind of treasure map, of course. Now, Hougan's, Bitwise's resident crystal ball reader, lays down a bit of a dare. Now, if tokenization really is the next big thing, then the simplest kind of surfboard is a blockchain built for real-world assets. And here's a spoiler. That includes XRP. Now, my eyes did that kind of cartoon-wide thing, right? XRP, the same token that Twitter turned into a bit of a soap opera. Now, I just had to know if this was real momentum or just another hype volley. First, let me kind of demystify tokenization before your kind of brain files it under tech jargon, right? Imagine every Apple share, every slice of a Manhattan skyscraper, every kind of bond that kind of fixes potholes then, right? Chopped into little digital Lego bricks living on a blockchain. They trade 24/7, they settle in seconds, and they dodge the hidden fees that make traditional finance feel like buying popcorn at the movie theater. Now, that's tokenization. It's like Netflix showing up at Blockbuster's front door with a for lease sign. Larry Fink, yeah, that's BlackRock's Larry Fink, says that everything that will be tokenized someday. That's when the world's biggest asset manager kind of gets a bit giddy about it. I kind of put my coffee down and listen. Now, Hougan kind of quotes Fink and practically waves a neon opportunity sign. Stocks and bonds alone, they tally up to $257 trillion. $117 trillion in equity, $140 trillion in debt. Right, compare that to the $2 trillion stablecoin market that Scott Bassett thinks we'll actually see by 2030, and you realize that we've been arguing over the kiddie pool while the ocean sits ignored. So, why call XRP the cleanest exposure? Well, let's rewind to July 4th. Now, while fireworks lit the American skies, Latin America's Mercado Bitcoin lit crypto Twitter on fire by announcing a $200 million tokenization plan on the XRP Ledger. Fixed. That's income and equity instruments going digital. There's no pocket change, of course, right? And not a one-off either. The kind of Dubai Land Department is also testing the XRPL for property deeds. That's desert real estate on distributed rails. Meanwhile, Robinhood spun up a tokenized stock platform on Arbitrum. Kraken Pro, the link below is an affiliate link that supports the channel, by the way, has also built its own on Solana. And Coinbase politely asked the SEC to let Americans join the party. SEC Chair Paul Atkins, usually the guy that kind of tosses cold water around, actually called tokenization a significant innovation. When the SEC calls anything innovative, my jaw kind of unhinges. Now, Hougan's memo, it isn't just news. It's actually a bit of a checklist, right? Pick a basket of layer 1 blockchains and instrumental or infrastructural kind of plays. That's Ethereum, XRP, Solana, Chainlink, which is vital. Then kind of watch the tide lift everything. Now, I kind of circled XRP in big red ink because the XRPL keeps snagging the kind of pilots that Fortune 500 CFOs brag about on earning calls. You skeptical? Well, I broke out the calculator. Suppose tokenization, captures a modest 20% of the kind of projected $18 trillion market by 2033. That would be $3.6 trillion. Now, if the XRPL grabs that slice, back of the napkin math lands XRP anywhere between $37 and $54, depending on circulating supply. Now, that's not moon math, it's just a conservative division, which is basically assuming that market cap equals liquidity, which it does not. So compare that to today's price, which is kind of, barely a Big Mac combo, and you kind of see the upside, right? But numbers alone don't sell the dreams, right? Stories do. Now enter my buddy Sam, the skeptic who still kind of mails paper checks. Last month, I dared him to send $50 overseas on a Saturday. Now his kind of bank fees kind of mutated. Settlement date kind of slipped to maybe sometime next week. And by the time that the money landed, a new Taylor Swift album had dropped. Jokes aside, of course. Meanwhile, of course, I actually zipped a stablecoin across the globe in seconds for less than it cost of breathing. Tokenization is that, but on steroids. But here's the kicker. Hougan called XRP simpler than cherry-picking any kind of tiny tokenization startups because XRPL already sports veteran validators and regulatory-friendly branding. Now, for people who don't code in Solidity or follow every Discord drama, XRP is almost click buy, go barbecue simplicity, and it is an underrated superpower at the end of the day. But let's pump the brakes. Moving a few corporate bonds on-chain is actually quite easy. Migrating trillions without gridlock is another beast altogether. Regulation loves to kind of gate crash these things. Even though Atkins, sounded pretty jazzed, we've watched regulatory weather change faster than meme coin charts. Institutions, they need a user experience so friendly that, well, your grandmother, could actually use it. And that's kind of where the XRPL actually shines. It's got low fees, sub-second finality, and a decade of payment-focused engineering. So why not Ethereum or Solana? Well, let's get into that, shall we? Ethereum is a bit like a Swiss Army knife, but during a kind of meme frenzy or a bull run, the gas fees make your mortgage your own family dog just to be able to get your transactions confirmed, right? And Solana, although is blazing fast, it is kind of fraught with uptime gremlins, right? More times than I actually rewatched The Office. So, it's one of those things where, is it actually going to be online when you need it the most? XRPL, well, it's the unlikable or unkillable, in fact, Toyota Camry, right? Many, maybe not that flashy to many, but it kind of starts every single time without fail. And that's the XRPL. Now, remember, Mercado Bitcoin picked XRPL for predictable fees, and regulators won't be able to be choking on it, right? And if Brazil's watchdogs can sleep at night with the XRPL, other countries will copy their homework rather than risk an F. Now, let's lay it in real-world color. In Dubai's last month, at least in Dubai last month, I kind of wandered the Future Blockchain Summit, right? So let's think Times Square, but cleaner and neater and rendered in RGB, right? The Dubai Land Department, demoed the XRPL, minted title deeds, and you tap your phone, proof of ownership is there within seconds. Now, one developer told me that tokenization could chop settlement times from 45 days to under 5 minutes and slash paperwork by 90%. Try getting your local clerk's office to match that. Even US Treasury Secretary Scott Bassett predicts stablecoins could hit $2 trillion by 2030. Now that's the appetizer. Stocks and bonds at $257 trillion is the entree. So if XRPL nabs even a slither, we're not just talking pocket change. We're talking a paradigm shift. Now, this might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor and nothing in this video today is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. Right? Your investments, of course, are entirely your responsibility and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and today's video is for entertainment and educational purposes purposes only. Okay, let's get back to the juicy bits. If tokenization moves just 5% of stocks and bonds on-chain by 2030, that's $12.85 trillion in 5 years. Spread that across half a dozen leading networks, and the XRPL could feasibly host $1 trillion. With 55 billion XRP in circulation, if we assume that the liquidity equals, market cap, then that would pencil out at roughly $18 a token or a coin. That's an easy $25 under the most cautious assumptions. So, how do you grab exposure without turning life into a spreadsheet marathon then? Well, Hougan loves the layer 1 basket approach, but I'm a dollar cost averaging kind of person. So every Friday, I just buy a fixed amount of XRP on Kraken Pro, right? The fees are kind and the interface doesn't give me hives. And full disclosure, once again, the link below is an affiliate link that keeps this channel caffeine powered. Now, speaking of links, our free educational Discord server is where we dissect memos like Hougan's, dunk on my dad jokes, and swap research threads. It's completely free, $0 tuition. Hit the description, pop in, lurk, or chat. Either way, you're going to level up. Okay, let's zoom out. Traditional finance clears trades at glacial speeds because it's stacked with middlemen. Tokenization slices that kind of Gordian knot. Right? Adoption, it won't just flip like a light switch, right? It will actually look like streaming video killing Blockbuster. It'll be slow to start, but then it will happen all at once. Now, before the herd arrives, positioning does indeed matter. When tokenized Tesla shares reach TikTok, for example, and TikTok hype, liquidity floods in and the easy multipliers, they vanish. Right? Reading Hougan's memo kind of felt like seeing that kind of cheat codes, but really early on. But there's two quick misconceptions that we need to vaporize. Number one, tokenization doesn't completely erase risk. There's smart contract bugs, there's custody failures, and old school fraud, it will still exist. Due diligence just evolves. Now, it doesn't completely disappear. Number two, and this is an important one, XRP lacking smart contracts. It's kind of true and kind of not. But what XRPL does have is sidechains and hooks, and they add programmability without kind of bloating the base layer. Sometimes fewer moving parts means fewer ways to actually break. Time for the holy smokes moment then, right? I mapped out every tokenization pilot announced in the last 90 days. Mercado's Bitcoin $200 million, Dubai's Deeds, Robinhood on Arbitrum, Kraken on Solana's, Coinbase is kind of SEC petition. Over half either use XRPL or cite its speed and compliance record. That's like attending a music festival where every indie band secretly thanks the same obscure producer. So, where does that leave us? With homework, actually. So we have to decide if you want a slice of this particular wave. Research the kind of interplays, right? XRP, ETH, Solana, Link. The way that you would maybe compare phone plans. You got to choose a decent on-ramp. I use Kraken, BitGet, Blowfin. My personal favorite for on-ramping, of course, is Revolut, but Kraken Pro is right up there. The affiliate link, of course, is down below. Now, then, of course, you've got to jump into our free Discord and roast all of my assumptions. Iron, after all, does indeed sharpen iron. Now, for the spreadsheet warriors, consider sprinkling in some crypto stocks, Coinbase, Robinhood, maybe even Circle, if it does float. Hougan lists them as the kind of supplementary layer. I call them fries next to your burger. Now, humans, they underestimate compounding change because we expect straight lines. Tokenization is exponential. One pilot becomes 10, 10 becomes 1,000, and legacy rails start resembling fax machines. Early movers won't look lucky, they'll just look prepared. Still, none of this guarantees yacht club status, right? Crypto winters can slap harder than a stage diving penguin, right? Match exposure to your risk tolerance, not my caffeine rush. Yet, if even a slice of Fink's kind of prophecy does indeed land, upside dwarfs downside. Those are venture-style odds. So, watch three catalysts then. SEC clarity on tokenized securities, a Fortune 100 company issuing stock natively on-chain, and front-end kind of developers that make, buying tokenized assets feel like ordering pizza, right? When all of those stars align, you should probably buckle up. So here's the lightning recap then. Tokenization digitizes multi-trillion-dollar markets. Bitwise's Matt Hougan kind of says the simplest play is actually holding infrastructure tokens like XRP because XRPL keeps winning institutional pilots. Mercado's Bitcoin $200 million play, Dubai's property deeds, and BlackRock's bullish talk all points the same way. A tidal shift. Upside is huge, risks are real, it's your move, and you've got to decide what you want to do next. So, if you found this useful, smash subscribe if you want more blow by blow as this kind of saga unfolds, and why don't you click on the video that's on the screen.